The chamber is open and full of whispers.
What if Sirius Black had made a different choice on the worst night of his life? What if, standing in the ruins of Godric's Hollow with his best friend's body cooling on the floor and a crying baby in his arms, Sirius Black had looked at Harry Potter and realized that nothing else mattered? Not revenge, not justice, not even Peter Pettigrew. Just this child, the last living piece of James and Lily Potter. This is the story of that choice. The story of how one decision on Halloween night 1981 transformed Harry Potter from an abused orphan discovering his worth into a confident heir living up to an impossible legacy. How the boy who lived became the Marauder Prince. But this isn't a simple better childhood story. Because raising Harry Potter comes with complications that two traumatized 21-year-olds could never anticipate. This is about found family versus blood family. About legacy and the pressure of living up to it. About love that's messy and imperfect but chooses to stay anyway. Let's begin where everything changed. The night everything changed, November 1st, 1981, 11:47 p.m. Sirius Black materialized outside the Potter cottage in Godric's Hollow, his flying motorcycle skidding to a halt on the cobblestone street. The house was destroyed. The upper floor had collapsed. The door hung off its hinges. And even from outside, Sirius could see the eerie green glow of dark magic still clinging to the wreckage. No. No, 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 no. He ran. Through the broken door over splintered wood, past Lily's wand lying useless on the stairs. And there, in the entrance hall, was James Potter, his best friend, his brother in everything but blood. Face frozen in shock, glasses askew, sprawled on the floor like he'd been trying to reach the stairs, trying to reach his wife and son. James was 21 years old. He'd been dead for approximately 47 minutes. Sirius fell to his knees beside the body. He didn't check for a pulse. He could see James was gone, could see it in the empty stare, the unnatural stillness. For a moment, Sirius couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The war was supposed to be over. Voldemort was supposed to be gone. They'd won. They'd finally won, except they hadn't. Then he heard it, a baby crying upstairs. Sirius took the stairs 3 at a time. The nursery door was blasted off its hinges. Inside, Lily Potter lay crumpled on the floor in front of the crib. Her red hair spread around her head like a halo. And in the crib, surrounded by debris, was Harry, alive, crying, with a fresh cut on his forehead shaped like a lightning bolt. Sirius lifted Harry from the crib with shaking hands. The baby was maybe 15 months old, small for his age, with James's messy black hair and Lily's bright green eyes. Those eyes, God, those were Lily's eyes exactly. Harry clutched at Sirius's leather jacket, crying harder, and Sirius held him close. I've got you, Harry. You're safe now. The sound of a motorcycle, not his own, approached outside. Heavy footsteps. Sirius turned, wand drawn, body positioned between Harry and the door. But it was Hagrid who filled the doorway, his beetle-black eyes red-rimmed and streaming with tears. Sirius. Hagrid choked out. Oh, Sirius. I'm so sorry. Dumbledore sent me to get Harry. Take him somewhere safe. He's safe with me. Dumbledore's orders. The boy needs to go to his aunt and uncle, his mother's sister. There's protections, blood protections, that'll keep him safe there. Sirius looked down at Harry. The baby had stopped crying and was staring up at him with those impossibly green eyes. James and Lily's son, the child they'd made him godfather to, the child they'd trusted him to protect if anything happened to them. And something in Sirius Black shifted. He'd been about to hand Harry over, had been about to hunt down Peter Pettigrew and make him pay for his betrayal. But looking at Harry, at this tiny, fragile piece of James and Lily still breathing, Sirius realized that revenge was a cold comfort compared to the warm weight of a child in his arms. James appointed me his guardian, Sirius said quietly. He and Lily wanted me to raise Harry if anything happened to them. That's legally binding, Hagrid. Harry stays with me. But Dumbledore said, I don't care what Dumbledore said. Sirius's voice hardened. Peter Pettigrew betrayed us. He was the secret keeper, not me. He sold James and Lily to Voldemort, and when I find him, I'll kill him. But not tonight. Tonight, Harry needs someone who loves him. Someone who knew his parents. Someone who'll make sure he never forgets who they were. Hagrid wrung his massive hands. Sirius, you're not thinking clearly. You're in shock. Let me take the boy to Dumbledore, and we'll sort this all out proper-like. No. Sirius held Harry tighter. I'm his godfather. I'm taking him home. Where's home? You live in a flat the size of a broom cupboard. Then, I'll find somewhere bigger. Hagrid, I'm not giving him up. Don't ask me to. They stared at each other. Hagrid was easily 3 times Sirius's size and could overpower him without breaking a sweat. But Sirius was an Auror, a combat veteran, and he had his wand drawn. More importantly, he had absolute certainty in his eyes, the kind of certainty that comes from making an irrevocable choice. Finally, Hagrid sighed. You'll need to talk to Dumbledore. I'll talk to whoever I need to talk to. But Harry stays with me. The confrontation 3 hours later, Sirius sat in Albus Dumbledore's office at Hogwarts with Harry asleep in his arms. The baby had finally exhausted himself crying, and now slept with his thumb in his mouth, his other hand fisted in Sirius's shirt. The lightning bolt scar on his forehead had stopped bleeding, but would clearly leave a mark. Dumbledore sat behind his desk, hands steepled, looking older than Sirius had ever seen him. The portraits of former headmasters pretended to sleep. Fawkes the Phoenix sang a soft, mournful note. Sirius, Dumbledore began gently. I understand you're grieving. We all are. James and Lily were. Don't. Sirius's voice was raw. Don't tell me what they were. I knew them better than anyone. Then you know they would want Harry protected above all else. Lily's sacrifice created powerful magic, blood magic. As long as Harry can call his aunt's house home, that magic will shield him from Voldemort's followers, from anyone who wishes him harm. Without that protection, he's vulnerable. He's vulnerable anyway. He's a baby. He's the boy who survived the killing curse. Voldemort is gone, but his followers remain. They'll want revenge. They'll want to eliminate the threat Harry represents. The Blood Wards are the only thing that can. I'll protect him. Dumbledore's blue eyes pierced through Sirius. You're 21 years old. You've been at war since you left Hogwarts. You live alone in a one-room flat. You have no experience with children. And you've just suffered a trauma that would break most people. Sirius, I'm not questioning your love for Harry. I'm questioning whether love is enough. Sirius looked down at Harry. The baby shifted in his sleep, making a small sound. His face was James's face, the same bone structure, the same messy hair that would never lie flat. But those eyes were Lily's, both of them captured in this impossibly small person. James made me Harry's godfather, Sirius said quietly. Do you know what he said when he asked me? He said, if anything happens to us, I need to know Harry will be with someone who'll tell him about his parents. Someone who'll make sure he knows he comes from brave people who loved him. That's what James wanted. Not for Harry to grow up with Lily's sister who hated magic, with me. Petunia Dursley is Harry's blood relative. That matters, does it? My blood relatives burned me off the family tree for being a Gryffindor. Andromeda Tonks was disowned for marrying a Muggle-born. Blood doesn't make family, Dumbledore. Choice does. And I'm choosing Harry. I'm choosing to be his father because that's what James and Lily wanted. The Blood Wards can go to hell. I'll protect Harry my way. I'll ward whatever house we live in. I'll make myself his secret keeper if I have to. I'll do whatever it takes. But I won't give him to people who'll hate him for existing. Dumbledore was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with resignation. You're determined to do this, yes? Then I cannot stop you. James and Lily did name you guardian in their will. Legally, you have the right. But Sirius, Dumbledore leaned forward. If you take this path, you accept all the consequences. Harry will be a target. He'll grow up knowing he's hunted. And if something happens to him because the Blood Wards weren't there to protect him, that weight will be on your conscience forever. I know. Do you, or are you making this decision out of grief and guilt? Sirius met his eyes. Both. I suggested they make Peter the secret keeper instead of me. I thought I was being clever. Thought I was too obvious a choice. That decision killed them. I killed them, Dumbledore. The least I can do is make sure their son knows he was loved, that he came from people worth remembering. Dumbledore sighed. Very well. Take Harry. Raise him. Love him. But know this. Voldemort will return. The prophecy remains unfulfilled, and when that day comes, Harry will need to be ready. Not coddled, not sheltered. Ready. He'll be ready. I'll make sure of it. See that you do. Dumbledore stood. You'll need a suitable home. Grimmauld Place, perhaps. Sirius's jaw tightened. Grimmauld Place? the ancestral Black family home, the house he'd run away from at 16. The house full of dark artifacts and portraits of his dead relatives who'd hated everything he stood for. But it was also large, defensible, and legally his now that his mother was dead. "I'll make it work," Sirius said. The accusation. Before Sirius could leave Hogwarts with Harry, the Ministry arrived. 4 Aurors, including Barty Crouch Sr., the head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement. They found Sirius in the entrance hall, Harry still in his arms. "Sirius Black?" Crouch said coldly. "You're under arrest for the murders of James and Lily Potter, the murder of Peter Pettigrew, and the murders of 12 Muggles. Surrender your wand." Sirius stared at him. "What? Peter Pettigrew is dead, killed when you hunted him down in a Muggle street and blew him apart with a curse. Witnesses reported hearing you laugh maniacally over his remains. 12 Muggles died in the blast. You will stand trial for, I didn't hunt Peter down. I've been here. At Hogwarts, with Dumbledore. Peter's dead? Don't insult my intelligence. You were the Potter's secret keeper. You betrayed them to you-know-who, then eliminated Pettigrew when he tried to expose you. The evidence is overwhelming." "I wasn't the secret keeper." Sirius's voice rose, causing Harry to stir and whimper. Sirius lowered his voice with effort. "We switched. Peter was the secret keeper. He's the one who betrayed them. He must have faked his death to frame me. A convenient story. It's the truth. Ask anyone. Ask Dumbledore. I'm standing right here," Dumbledore said from the stairs behind them. "And I can confirm that Sirius has been in my office for the past 3 hours. He could not have killed Peter Pettigrew tonight." Crouch's expression flickered. "He could have killed him earlier. Before coming here, he arrived at Godric's Hollow 47 minutes after the Potters' deaths, as evidenced by the magical trace. He came directly here from there. The timeline doesn't support your accusation. Then how do you explain Pettigrew's death?" Witnesses saw Sirius Black laughing over the remains. "Peter Pettigrew is an animagus," Sirius said desperately. "An unregistered one. He turns into a rat. He could have transformed, cut off his own finger, and disappeared. It's exactly the kind of coward's trick he'd pull." Crouch stared at him. "You expect me to believe? Give him Veritaserum," Dumbledore interrupted. "If Sirius is lying, the truth serum will expose him. If he's telling the truth, you'll have to investigate Pettigrew's possible survival. It's the only fair solution." The Aurors exchanged glances. Veritaserum was controlled by strict ministry guidelines and rarely used, but this was a high-profile case with a respected witness vouching for the accused. If they refused, and it later came out that they'd imprisoned an innocent man without even attempting verification, the political consequences would be severe. "Very well," Crouch said stiffly. "We'll administer Veritaserum. But Black, if you're guilty, you'll wish we'd sent you straight to Azkaban." The truth serum. The Veritaserum interrogation took place in a secure room at the Ministry of Magic. Sirius sat in a hard chair with 3 drops of truth serum on his tongue, Harry sleeping in Remus Lupin's arms in the corner. Remus had appeared at the Ministry an hour earlier, gray-faced and shaking, demanding to see Sirius. When he'd learned about the accusation and the upcoming interrogation, he'd refused to leave. The serum took effect quickly. Sirius's eyes went slightly unfocused. His expression went slack. "State your name," Crouch commanded. "Sirius Orion Black. Were you the secret keeper for James and Lily Potter?" "No." The simple word hung in the air. The court scribe's quill scratched across parchment. "Who was the secret keeper?" "Peter Pettigrew." "Why did you switch?" "I was the obvious choice. Everyone knew James and I were best friends. I suggested they make Peter the secret keeper instead because no one would suspect him. I thought I was being clever. I thought I was protecting them." Sirius's voice cracked even under the serum. "I was wrong. Did you betray the Potters to Lord Voldemort?" "No. Never. James was my brother. I would have died for him. For both of them." "Did you kill Peter Pettigrew?" "No. I haven't seen Peter since October 31st, when he disappeared after betraying James and Lily." Crouch leaned forward. "Do you believe Peter Pettigrew is alive?" "Yes. He faked his death. He's an animagus, an unregistered rat. He cut off his finger, caused an explosion to kill witnesses, and disappeared. It's exactly what a coward like him would do." The interrogation continued for another hour. Every question Crouch asked, Sirius answered with devastating honesty. He described the secret keeper switch. He described arriving at Godric's Hollow and finding James dead. He described making the choice to stay with Harry rather than hunt Peter immediately. When the serum wore off, Sirius slumped in his chair, exhausted. Crouch looked like he'd swallowed something sour. The testimony is consistent, the lead Auror said quietly to Crouch. Under Veritaserum, he's either telling the truth or he somehow managed to deceive truth serum that's been used successfully for 200 years. He could be using occlumency. Sir, he didn't resist the serum at all. He answered every question immediately. If he were using occlumency, there would have been hesitation. Confusion? Something? Dumbledore, who had observed the interrogation, spoke up. I am willing to stake my reputation on the validity of these results. Sirius Black is innocent. Peter Pettigrew was the traitor. The Ministry should be searching for Pettigrew, not imprisoning the wrong man. Crouch was silent for a long moment. Finally, he said, Release him. But Black, he pointed a finger at Sirius. You are not cleared. You're a person of interest in an ongoing investigation. You will make yourself available for further questioning. You will not leave the country. And if we find any evidence that you're lying, you won't, Sirius said hoarsely. Because I'm not. Bringing Remus home 2 days later, Sirius stood in the entrance hall of 12 Grimmauld Place, with Harry on his hip and Remus Lupin beside him. The house looked exactly as he remembered, dark, oppressive, smelling of dust and old magic. The portrait of his mother, Walburga Black, glared down at them from the wall, mercifully silenced by a permanent silencing charm he'd cast the moment they arrived. This is it, Sirius said. The ancestral Black family home. Every inch of it screams, we hate muggles and muggle-borns, and anyone who doesn't think pure-blood wizards are superior beings. Welcome. Remus looked around the gloomy entrance hall. It's atmospheric. It's a nightmare. But it's big, it's defensible, and it's mine now that the old Harridan's dead. Sirius shifted Harry to his other hip. The baby was awake and staring around with wide green eyes. We'll make it work. Clean out the dark artifacts. Paint over the family tree. Maybe burn that portrait entirely. Filth, the portrait suddenly screamed, the silencing charm apparently weakening. Blood traitors and half-breeds in the noble house of Black. Shame. Shame on the name. Sirius waved his wand and the heavy curtains slammed shut over the portrait, muffling her shrieks. She does that. Creature, he called out. Creature, get out here. A house elf appeared with a crack. He was ancient, with bat-like ears and a drooping mustache, wearing a filthy pillowcase and muttering under his breath. Master Sirius returns to the noble house with his ill-gotten spawn and the werewolf. Shame. Mistress would be spinning in her grave. Oh yes, spinning and wailing. Creature, shut up. Sirius's voice was flat. New rules. You will not insult Harry. You will not insult Remus. You will not insult any guest I bring into this house. You will clean the place from top to bottom and make it suitable for a child. You will dispose of any dark artifacts that could harm Harry. And yes, that includes your mistress's favorite cursed jewelry. Am I clear? Creature's face twisted with hatred, but house elf magic compelled obedience to the head of house. Yes, Master Sirius, he spat. Good. Start with my old bedroom. Make it into a nursery. Nothing dark. Nothing dangerous. Just make it safe. Creature disappeared with a crack of loathing. Remus watched him go. That's going to be a problem. Everything about this house is a problem, but it's better than a one-room flat. Sirius looked at Remus. Speaking of which, you're staying, right? You haven't said, but you've been here for 2 days, so I assume... You assume correctly? Remus's voice was quiet. James and Lily were my friends too. I thought you'd betrayed them. When I found out the truth, I realized I'd lost 3 friends in one night and spent 12 years believing a lie about the 4th. If you think I'm leaving you alone to raise Harry, you're insane. I don't know what I'm doing, Sirius admitted. I've never even held a baby before Harry. I don't know what he eats or when he sleeps or... Moony, I'm terrified I'm going to break him. You won't break him. We'll figure it out together. Harry chose that moment to grab a fistful of Sirius's hair and yank hard. Sirius yelped. Remus laughed, the first genuine laugh either of them had managed since Halloween. Come on, Remus said. Let's find the kitchen and see if there's anything a 15-month-old can eat. There won't be. My mother considered food a weakness. We're ordering takeaway. You can't feed a baby takeaway. Why not? Babies eat food. Takeaway is food. Sirius? Fine. We'll go to a Muggle grocery store and buy baby food. Whatever that is, how hard can it be? Learning to be a parent. 3 weeks later, Sirius Black was learning exactly how hard it could be. Harry Potter was, objectively speaking, an easy baby. He didn't cry excessively. He slept reasonably well. He ate whatever they gave him without much fuss, but he was still a baby, which meant he required constant attention, regular feeding, frequent nappy changes, and supervision every moment he was awake. Sirius had been an auror. He'd fought Death Eaters. He'd survived the worst war the wizarding world had seen in decades. None of it had prepared him for the relentless exhaustion of caring for a 15-month-old. Moony, he called down the stairs at 3 a.m. Moony, I need help. He won't stop crying. Remus appeared in the doorway of the nursery, looking as tired as Sirius felt. They took turns with the night wakings, but Harry seemed to have a sixth sense for choosing the nights when they were both already exhausted. What's wrong? I don't know. I changed him. I fed him. I checked if he was too hot or too cold. He just keeps crying. Remus took Harry from Sirius's arms and did a quick diagnostic check. He's teething. See? His gums are swollen. He needs something cold to chew on. How do you know that? I read the baby books you bought and then ignored. I didn't ignore them. I skimmed them. Skimming doesn't count, Padfoot. Remus carried Harry toward the kitchen. Come on. We'll get him a cold teething ring and some infant pain potion. He'll be fine. Sirius followed, running his hands through his hair. I'm a terrible father. You're a new father. There's a difference. James would have known what to do. Remus stopped and turned to look at him. James would have panicked just like you did. He was good at many things. Fatherhood wasn't something he got to practice. The words hurt because they were true. James had been dead 3 weeks. His son was growing up without him, and every day Sirius looked at Harry and saw James's face staring back at him, a living reminder of everything he'd failed to protect. In the kitchen, Remus prepared the teething ring and gave Harry a small dose of pain potion. The baby stopped crying almost immediately, gnawing on the cold rubber with obvious relief. There, Remus said, crisis averted. Sirius slumped into a chair. How did our parents do this? Your parents didn't do this. House elves did. Right. And your parents? Were very patient people who loved me enough to deal with lycanthropy on top of normal childhood problems. Remus sat down across from him with Harry in his lap. Sirius, you're doing fine. Harry is healthy, safe, and loved. That's what matters. Is it enough? It has to be. It's all we have to give. They sat in silence for a moment, the only sound Harry's contented gnawing on the teething ring. Then Sirius said, I want to tell him about them. About James and Lily. But how do you explain to a baby that his parents died saving him? That they loved him so much they sacrificed everything? How do I make sure he knows who they were? You start now, Remus said simply. You tell him stories. You show him photos. You make James and Lily real for him, not just abstract dead parents. And when he's old enough to understand, you tell him the whole truth, that they were brave and brilliant and they died fighting for a better world. The whole truth. The whole truth. Including the mistakes, including Peter's betrayal, including your guilt and my guilt, and everything we did wrong. Because Harry deserves honesty more than he deserves a sanitized version of history. Sirius looked at Harry. The baby had fallen asleep again, teething ring still in his mouth, his small body relaxed against Remus's chest. His hair stuck up in all directions. James's hair, which never lay flat no matter what you did to it. His hand curled into a tiny fist. Okay, Sirius said. We'll tell him everything. When he's ready. When he's ready, Remus agreed. The Marauders' legacy, Harry's first word was Pafu, his attempt at Padfoot, Sirius's animagus nickname. Sirius cried. Remus took photos. Harry, unaware he'd just caused an emotional crisis, went back to gnawing on his toy broomstick. The toy broomstick had been Sirius's first major purchase after moving into Grimmauld Place. Canon confirmed that Sirius had given Harry a toy broomstick for his first birthday, a tiny racing broom that hovered about 2 feet off the ground and couldn't crash into walls. Remus had argued that Harry was too young. Sirius had argued that you were never too young to learn to fly. Harry loved it. By 18 months, he could zoom around the drawing room on the little broom, laughing as Sirius chased him in dog form. By 2 years old, he was doing loop-de-loops and making Remus have minor heart attacks. "He's a natural," Sirius said proudly, watching 2-year-old Harry race circles around the room. "James would be so proud." "James would be terrified," Remus corrected. "You're teaching him to be reckless. I'm teaching him to be brave." "There's a difference." "Is there?" "Absolutely. Bravery is calculated risk-taking. Recklessness is not calculating at all. And which one are you teaching him?" Sirius grinned. "Both. He's a Marauder's son. He needs to know how to cause trouble." The Marauder's legacy was everywhere in Harry's early childhood. Sirius told him stories about James Potter, the troublemaker, the Quidditch star, the best friend who'd welcomed Sirius into his family when the Blacks disowned him. He told Harry about Lily Evans Potter, the brilliant witch who'd seen past James's arrogance to the good person underneath, who'd joined the Order of the Phoenix straight out of Hogwarts, who'd sacrificed everything to save her son. He showed Harry photos. James and Lily at their wedding. James holding baby Harry for the first time, looking terrified and awed simultaneously. Lily laughing at something off camera, her red hair catching the light. The 4 Marauders at Hogwarts, James, Sirius, Remus, and Peter, arms around each other's shoulders, grinning like they owned the world. Sirius always paused on those photos. Peter Pettigrew stared out at them, round-faced and smiling, looking like everyone's harmless friend. The traitor who'd sold James and Lily to Voldemort. The coward who'd faked his death and disappeared. "Where's this one?" Harry asked once, pointing at Peter's face. He was 3 years old and getting better at talking. "That's Peter," Sirius said carefully. "He was our friend once, but he did something very bad. He's gone now. Bad like the bad wizard?" Harry knew about Voldemort, not the details, but the broad strokes. The bad wizard who'd hurt his parents. The bad wizard who was gone now but might come back someday. Sirius had decided early that lying to Harry would only make things worse when the truth eventually came out. "Yes," Sirius said. "Bad like the bad wizard. Peter helped the bad wizard hurt people." "Oh." Harry thought about this. "I'm glad he's gone." "Me too, pup. Me too." But Peter wasn't gone. Somewhere out there the rat was hiding, waiting. Sirius knew it, and sometimes, late at night when Harry was asleep and Remus was in his own room, Sirius would lie awake thinking about Peter Pettigrew and imagining all the ways he'd make him pay when they finally found him. The transformation of Grimmauld Place. By the time Harry was 4 years old, 12 Grimmauld Place bore little resemblance to the gloomy ancestral home Sirius had inherited. They'd cleaned out the dark artifacts, cursed jewelry, poisoned books, a music box that made people sleepy unto death. The drawing room had been transformed into a bright play area with Harry's toys scattered across the floor. The kitchen had been modernized with Muggle appliances that fascinated Harry and confused Creature. Sirius's childhood bedroom on the 2nd floor remained mostly intact, a shrine to his teenage rebellion. Posters of Muggle motorcycles and Gryffindor banners covered the walls. Pictures of Muggle girls in bikinis that Sirius had found hilarious at 16 and now found embarrassing. He kept meaning to take them down, but somehow never got around to it. The biggest change was the portrait of Walburga Black. Sirius had tried removing it, but his mother had used a permanent sticking charm powerful enough to resist even his best efforts. So instead, he'd commissioned a magical curtain, thick, heavy velvet that absorbed sound. When the portrait screamed her usual abuse, blood traitors, filth, shame on the House of Black, Sirius would simply wave his wand and the curtains would slam shut, muffling her to a dull roar. Harry learned early to ignore his great-grandmother's portrait. When she screamed at him for playing with Muggle-loving filth or being raised by degenerates, Harry would look up calmly and say, "You're mean. I don't like you." Then he'd go back to his toys. Sirius had never been more proud. Creature remained a problem. The house elf followed orders, barely, but made his displeasure known through constant muttering. Master Sirius brings shame on the noble house. Mistress would be appalled, the half-blood spawn and his werewolf guardian, living in the sacred halls. "Creature," Sirius interrupted one morning. "If you can't say something nice about Harry, don't say anything at all." Creature is saying nothing about the spawn, oh no, just muttering to himself about the shame and disgrace. That's still saying something about Harry. Creature is loyal to the House of Black. Creature serves the noble house. The noble house is going to give you clothes if you don't shut up. Creature fell silent, glowering with unconcealed hatred. Threatening a house elf with freedom was the ultimate punishment. They lived to serve. Sirius hated using the threat, but dealing with Creature's constant hostility was exhausting. "Why is Creature so mean?" Harry asked later. He was sitting at the kitchen table, carefully eating cereal while Remus read the Daily Prophet. "Because Creature loved my mother, and my mother was a terrible person who taught him terrible things," Sirius said honestly. "Sometimes people, or house elves, get stuck believing wrong things because they loved someone who believed those things first. But you don't believe wrong things." "I try not to, but I'm sure I believe some wrong things without realizing it. Everyone does." Harry considered this. "When I believe wrong things, will you tell me?" "Absolutely. That's what family does." "Okay." Harry went back to his cereal, apparently satisfied. Remus looked over his newspaper at Sirius. "You're getting better at this." "At what?" "Parenting. You haven't panicked about a crying baby in over a year. That's because he stopped being a crying baby and became a tiny person with opinions. It's much easier. Wait until he becomes a teenager with opinions. One nightmare at a time, Mooney." Preparing for Hogwarts. When Harry was 7, Sirius started teaching him about magic formally. Not spellwork, that required a wand and Harry was too young for one, but magical theory, wizarding culture, and the history of the wizarding world. "The most important thing to understand," Sirius said one afternoon in his study, "is that magical ability has nothing to do with blood purity. Some of the most powerful witches and wizards in history have been Muggle-born. Your mother was Muggle-born, and she was brilliant. Top of her class, head girl, one of the best defensive magic users I've ever seen." Harry, sitting cross-legged on the floor, nodded seriously. "Because magic chooses who gets it, not families." "Exactly. But a lot of wizards, pure bloods who've been magical for generations, believe they're superior to Muggle-borns. They use words like mudblood to insult Muggle-born witches and wizards. If you ever hear someone use that word, you need to understand that they're wrong. Blood doesn't determine worth. What if someone calls me that? They won't. You're a half-blood. Your father was pure blood, and your mother was Muggle-born. But even if they did, you'd know they're ignorant. The Potters never cared about blood purity. Neither do the Blacks. Well, the decent Blacks anyway. Like you. Like me." Sirius ruffled Harry's hair. "Now let's talk about Hogwarts. You've got 4 years until you start, but you should know what to expect." The Hogwarts lectures became a regular part of Harry's education. Sirius taught him about the 4 houses: Gryffindor for the brave, Slytherin for the ambitious, Ravenclaw for the clever, Hufflepuff for the loyal. He explained the house system, the house cup, the Quidditch tournaments. "Which house will I be in?" Harry asked. "Depends on what the Sorting Hat sees in you. Your dad and I were both Gryffindors. Your mum too. But houses don't define you. Your choices do. Lots of brave people end up in Hufflepuff. Lots of clever people end up in Gryffindor. The hat takes your preference into account." "What if I'm in Slytherin?" Sirius hesitated. The answer required honesty without prejudice. A difficult balance. Slytherin has produced some brilliant witches and wizards. It's also produced more dark wizards than any other house. That doesn't mean Slytherins are evil. It means ambition without morality can be dangerous. If you end up in Slytherin, I'll be proud of you. Just remember that ambition should serve something bigger than yourself." "Okay." Harry didn't seem worried. "Can we practice dueling now? You don't have a wand, but you can teach me the movements, so I'm ready when I do have a wand." Sirius grinned. "That's the Marauder spirit. All right, up you get. First lesson: never underestimate your opponent." By age 9, Harry knew more about defensive magic than most first years learned in their entire first term. He couldn't cast spells yet, but he knew the theory behind shield charms, stunning spells, disarming charms, and full-body bind curses. He knew wand movements. He knew incantations. He knew strategy. Remus worried they were pushing him too hard. Sirius argued that Harry needed every advantage they could give him. The war might be over, but Voldemort's followers remained. Harry Potter, the boy who'd survived the killing curse, would always be a target. "He's 9 years old," Remus said, after one particularly intense training session. "He should be playing with toys, not learning how to duel." "He does play with toys. He's playing with his toy broomstick right now. That's not the same as a normal childhood. Harry's life will never be normal. The best we can do is prepare him." "Prepare him for what?" "A war that might never happen. A war that will happen." "Voldemort isn't gone, Mooney. You know that." He's out there somewhere, waiting. And when he comes back, Harry will be ready. Remus wanted to argue, but looking at Harry through the window, zooming around the garden on his toy broom, laughing, still just a child, he couldn't, because Sirius was right. Voldemort would return. And Harry needed to be ready. The letter, August 24th, 1991. Harry Potter was 11 years old. The Hogwarts letter arrived by owl at breakfast, a tawny bird that swooped through the kitchen window and dropped the envelope directly onto Harry's plate. He'd been expecting it. Sirius had told him it would come, but holding the actual letter, feeling the weight of the parchment, seeing the Hogwarts seal, that made it real. Well? Sirius asked from across the table, trying to look casual and failing completely. Open it. Harry broke the seal and read, Dear Mr. Potter, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Please find enclosed a list of all necessary books and equipment. Term begins on September 1st. We await your owl by no later than July 31st. Yours sincerely, Minerva McGonagall. Deputy Headmistress Harry looked up at Sirius and Remus, both watching him with expressions somewhere between pride and terror. I'm going to Hogwarts, Harry said. You're going to Hogwarts, Sirius confirmed. His voice was rough. Just like your dad. Just like all of us. Are you going to cry? No. Shut up. I have something in my eye, Remus smiled. We should go to Diagon Alley tomorrow. Get your school things, your wand. My wand, Harry repeated. The words felt significant. For 11 years he'd been learning magic theory, practicing wand movements with a stick, preparing for this moment. Now it was actually happening. There's something else, Sirius said. He stood and left the kitchen, returning a moment later with a package wrapped in brown paper. I've been saving this for you. For today, Harry unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a leather jacket, soft black leather, perfectly sized for an 11-year-old, with the Potter family crest embroidered on the back in silver thread. It looked exactly like the jacket Sirius always wore, just smaller. Every marauder needs a leather jacket, Sirius said. It's tradition. Harry put it on. It fit perfectly. He looked at himself in the mirror by the door and saw, not himself exactly, but a version of himself that looked like he belonged, like he was part of something. Thank you, he said quietly. You're welcome. Now come on, let's plan your Hogwarts domination. I'm thinking you start with a small prank on the Slytherins, just to establish territory. Sirius, no, Remus interrupted. Harry, do not prank anyone in your first week. First month, Harry suggested hopefully. How about first year? That's unrealistic, Moony. The Marauder legacy demands at least 3 good pranks per year. The Marauder legacy is why I spent half my time at Hogwarts in detention, and you loved every minute of it. Remus sighed but didn't argue. Harry grinned. He was going to Hogwarts. He was going to learn real magic. He was going to carry on the Marauder legacy. He couldn't wait. Diagon Alley. The next day, they took the night bus to Diagon Alley. Harry had been to the magical shopping district before. Sirius took him several times a year just to experience wizarding culture. But today felt different. Today he wasn't just visiting. He was shopping for Hogwarts. Their first stop was Gringotts. The goblin at the counter examined Harry with sharp black eyes. Mr. Potter, the goblin said, we've been expecting you. Vault 687, I presume? That's my vault? Harry asked. Your parents' vault, the goblin corrected. Left to you in their will. Quite substantial. Would you like to make a withdrawal? Harry looked at Sirius, who nodded. Go ahead. You'll need gold for school supplies. The cart ride down to the vault was exactly as thrilling as Sirius had described, plunging through narrow tunnels at breakneck speed, taking corners that defied physics. When they reached Vault 687 and the goblin opened it, Harry stopped breathing. Gold. Mountains of gold galleons. Silver sickles. Bronze knuts, piled so high they nearly touched the ceiling. This is mine? Harry whispered. Your parents made sure you'd be provided for, the goblin said neutrally. They were wise investors. Harry filled a bag with enough gold for his school supplies, his mind reeling. He'd known his family had money. Sirius had told him the Potters were an old, pure-blood family with inherited wealth, but seeing it made it real. He wasn't just Harry Potter, the boy who'd survived Voldemort. He was Harry Potter, heir to a fortune. The thought was both exciting and terrifying. Next stop, Madame Malkin's robes for all occasions. Harry was being fitted for school robes when another boy entered. Pale, pointed face, sleek blonde hair. He looked at Harry with cool gray eyes. "Hogwarts?" the boy asked. "Yes," Harry said. "Me too. First year. My father's next door buying my books." He said it like it was significant. Like Harry should be impressed. "I'm Draco Malfoy." Harry had heard that name before. Sirius had mentioned the Malfoys, pure blood family, wealthy, suspected Death Eaters who'd claimed to be under the Imperious curse after Voldemort's fall. Lucius Malfoy had bought his way out of Azkaban. "Harry Potter," Harry said, watching Malfoy's reaction. Malfoy's eyes widened slightly. "Really? I heard you were living with Muggles. The Dursleys or something." "You heard wrong. I live with my godfather." "Sirius Black?" Malfoy looked genuinely surprised. "But he's my mother's cousin. That makes us related, sort of." Harry hadn't thought about that. Narcissa Malfoy née Black was Sirius's first cousin. Which meant Draco was what, Sirius's first cousin once removed? Something like that. Family trees got complicated with pure blood families. "I suppose it does," Harry said carefully. "Father says Sirius Black is a blood traitor who disgraced the House of Black. But he also says," Malfoy hesitated, "he says you're famous, that you defeated you-know-who as a baby." "I don't remember it. I was 1 year old. Still. You did it. That's impressive." Malfoy's tone suggested he was deciding whether Harry was worth befriending. "Do you know what house you'll be in?" "I'll be in Slytherin. The whole family has been." "Probably Gryffindor," Harry said. "My parents were both Gryffindors." So was Sirius. Malfoy's expression cooled slightly. "Gryffindors? Well, I suppose we'll see at school." He left without another word. Harry watched him go, feeling like he'd just failed some kind of test he hadn't known he was taking. Ollivanders. The wand shop was narrow and shabby, with a single wand on a faded purple cushion in the dusty window. The sign read, "Ollivanders, makers of fine wands, since 382 BC. A bell rang somewhere in the depths of the shop as they entered. Sirius stayed near the door. This was Harry's moment. A strange, soft voice called out, "Good afternoon." An old man stood before them, his wide, pale eyes shining like moons through the gloom. "I wondered when I'd be seeing you, Mr. Potter," Mr. Ollivander said. "You have your mother's eyes. It seems only yesterday she was in here herself, buying her first wand. 10¼ inches long, swishy, made of willow. Nice wand for charm work." "You remember everyone who's bought a wand from you?" Harry asked. "Every single wand, Mr. Potter. Every single one." "Now which is your wand arm?" "I'm right-handed." Ollivander pulled a measuring tape from his pocket. "That will do. Hold out your arm." The tape measure measured Harry from shoulder to finger, wrist to elbow, shoulder to floor, knee to armpit. Ollivander was pulling boxes from the shelves. "Try this one. Beechwood and dragon heartstring. 9 inches. Nice and flexible. Just take it and give it a wave." Harry waved the wand. Nothing happened. Ollivander snatched it back almost immediately. "Maple and phoenix feather. 7 inches. Quite whippy." Harry tried. Before he'd even raised the wand, Ollivander had already grabbed it back. No, here, ebony and unicorn hair, 8½ inches. Springy. More wands. None of them worked. The pile of tried and rejected wands grew higher on the spindly chair. The more wands Ollivander pulled from the shelves, the more interested he seemed to become. "Tricky customer, eh? Not to worry, we'll find the perfect match here somewhere. I wonder, now." "Yes, why not? Unusual combination. Holly and phoenix feather. 11 inches. Nice and supple." Harry took the wand. He felt a sudden warmth in his fingers. He raised the wand above his head, brought it swishing down through the dusty air, and a stream of red and gold sparks shot from the end like a firework, throwing dancing spots of light onto the walls. "Oh, bravo. Yes, indeed. Very good. But very curious." Ollivander's eyes gleamed. "Very curious indeed." "Sorry, Harry," said. "What's curious?" Ollivander fixed Harry with his pale stare. "I remember every wand I've ever sold, Mr. Potter. Every single wand. It so happens that the phoenix whose tail feather is in your wand gave another feather, just one other. It is very curious indeed that you should be destined for this wand when its brother gave you that scar." Harry touched his forehead. "The lightning bolt scar that marked him as the boy who lived. Yes, 13.5 inches. You, curious indeed how these things happen. The wand chooses the wizard. Remember, I think we must expect great things from you, Mr. Potter. After all, he who must not be named did great things. Terrible, yes, but great. Harry left the shop feeling strange. His wand and Voldemort's were brothers, connected by phoenix feather. What did that mean? It means you got a powerful wand, Sirius said when Harry told him. Don't read too much into it. Ollivander loves being dramatic about wand lore, but Harry couldn't shake the feeling that it meant something more. PL Platform 9 3/4, September 1st arrived faster than Harry expected. One moment he was packing his trunk, the next he was standing at King's Cross Station with Sirius and Remus, staring at the barrier between platforms 9 and 10. You run straight at it, Sirius said. Don't stop, don't hesitate. Trust me. You're sure? Have I ever lied to you about magic? There was the time you told me flu powder tasted like chocolate. That was a joke. This is real. Just run at the barrier. I'll be right behind you. Harry took a deep breath, gripped his trolley tight, and ran. The barrier rushed to meet him, and then he was through, standing on platform 9 3/4 with the Hogwarts Express gleaming red in front of him. See? Sirius appeared beside him, grinning. Easy. The platform was crowded with families saying goodbye. Harry saw a pair of twins with red hair causing some kind of magical mayhem near the train. A girl with bushy brown hair was organizing her trunk with almost aggressive efficiency. An owl hooted from somewhere. Well, Sirius said, his voice suddenly rough. This is it. This is it, Harry agreed. You have everything? Your trunk, your books, your wand? Sirius, I have everything. Right, good. Sirius ran his hands through his hair. A nervous gesture Harry recognized because he did it too. Harry, listen. Hogwarts is going to be incredible. Best years of my life happened there. You're going to learn magic, make friends, probably get in way too much trouble. You told me to cause trouble. I said 3 pranks per year. I didn't say get expelled. Sirius's grin was shaky. But seriously, you're going to be brilliant. Just like your dad. What if I'm not? What if I'm terrible at magic? You won't be. But even if you were, which you won't be, I'd still be proud of you. Sirius pulled Harry into a hug. I love you, kid. Go show them what a marauder can do. Harry hugged him back, surprised to find his own eyes burning. I love you too. Remus hugged him next, less dramatically, but just as tight. Be careful. Study hard, and if you need anything at all, send an owl. We'll be here. I know. The train whistle blew. Students were climbing aboard. Harry grabbed his trunk and started toward the train, then stopped and looked back. Sirius and Remus stood side by side on the platform. The 2 people who'd raised him, taught him, loved him. His family. He waved. They waved back, and Harry boarded the Hogwarts Express for the first time. The train ride, Harry found an empty compartment and settled in by the window. He watched the platform, looking for Sirius and Remus in the crowd. Found them standing together, talking quietly. Sirius was definitely crying now, not even trying to hide it. The compartment door slid open. A boy with red hair and freckles stuck his head in. Mind if I sit here? Everywhere else is full. Go ahead, Harry said. The boy sat down across from Harry, looking relieved. I'm Ron. Ron Weasley. Harry Potter. Ron's eyes went to Harry's forehead, where his scar was visible beneath his messy black hair. Blimey. Are you really? Yes, Harry said, keeping his voice neutral. He'd known this would happen. Sirius had warned him. Everyone in the wizarding world knew who Harry Potter was. That's wicked. My brothers told me about you. You're the one who defeated you-know-who when you were a baby. I don't remember it. Still, it's brilliant. Ron seemed to realize he was staring. Sorry, I'm being weird. My brothers said I'd be weird. How many brothers do you have? 5. All at Hogwarts except Percy, who just became head boy, so he's being insufferable about it. And Bill and Charlie, who've already graduated, plus 1 sister, but she's not old enough for Hogwarts yet. Ron said all this with the weary tone of someone who'd grown up overshadowed. What about you? Any siblings? No, it's just me and my godfather. And Remus? He's sort of my uncle, I guess. It's complicated. Is your godfather Sirius Black? I heard my dad mention him once. Said he was a brilliant Auror. He was. Now he just causes trouble and embarrasses me in public. Ron grinned. Sounds like family. They talked for a while, about Quidditch, about Hogwarts houses, about what they hoped to learn. Ron was easy to talk to, comfortable in a way that surprised Harry. He'd expected making friends to be harder. The compartment door opened again. The girl with the bushy hair stood there, looking bossy and slightly anxious at the same time. Has anyone seen a toad? A boy named Neville's lost one. No, Harry said. Sorry, we could help look, Ron offered. The girl's expression softened slightly. That would be kind. I'm Hermione Granger, by the way. Ron Weasley, Harry Potter. Hermione's eyes widened. Are you really? I've read all about you, of course. You're in modern magical history and the rise and fall of the dark arts and great wizarding events of the 20th century. I'm in books, Harry asked, startled. You didn't know. You're famous. I know I'm famous. I didn't know I was in books. Several books. They're required reading for anyone interested in recent magical history. Hermione was warming to her subject, though I must say some of the accounts seem sensationalized. The part about you speaking to the snake at the zoo seemed particularly unlikely. Wait, that's in books too, Harry interrupted. How do people know about that? It was in the papers, wasn't it? After Sirius Black took you to the zoo, and you had that incident with the snake. Harry vaguely remembered the zoo trip when he was 7. He'd talked to a python, discovering by accident that he could speak parcel tongue, snake language. The snake had been grateful for the conversation. Then some idiot had tried to take a photo. The glass had mysteriously vanished, and the snake had escaped. There'd been a whole thing with the ministry. That was years ago, Harry said. And it wasn't my fault the glass disappeared. Obviously it was accidental magic, Hermione said. Underage wizards can't control their magic before they get wands. It's perfectly normal. Right, Harry said, already liking her despite her know-it-all tone. Anyone who approached things logically was all right by him. Let's go find this toad. The sorting ceremony was exactly as intimidating as Sirius had described. The great hall was enormous, lit by thousands of floating candles. The ceiling showed the night sky, stars and all. 4 long tables filled with students, all watching the first years enter. Professor McGonagall led them to the front of the hall. There, on a stool, sat an extremely old, patched wizard's hat. Harry knew what was coming. Sirius had explained the sorting hat, even taught him the song from his own sorting. But it was still strange watching the hat open its mouth and begin to sing. The song was different from Sirius's version. The hat talked about courage and daring for Gryffindor, ambition and cunning for Slytherin, wisdom and learning for Ravenclaw, loyalty and hard work for Hufflepuff. When the hat finished, Professor McGonagall began calling names. Abbott, Hannah, Hufflepuff, Bones, Susan, Hufflepuff, Boot, Terry, Ravenclaw. Granger, Hermione. Hermione practically ran to the stool. The hat sat on her head for nearly 4 minutes. A hat stall, Sirius had called it, when the hat couldn't decide. Finally, Gryffindor. Hermione walked to the Gryffindor table looking relieved and proud. Harry caught her eye and gave her a thumbs up. More names. Neville Longbottom went to Gryffindor after the hat barely touched his head. Draco Malfoy swaggered up to the stool. The hat hadn't even settled on his head before it shouted, Slytherin. Malfoy walked to the Slytherin table with a smirk. He'd known where he'd end up. Pure blood tradition. Potter, Harry. The whispers started immediately. Harry walked to the stool, very aware that every eye in the hall was on him. He sat down. McGonagall placed the hat on his head. Well, well, a small voice said in his ear, Harry Potter. I've been waiting for you. Interesting. Very interesting. Get on with it, Harry thought. Impatient, just like your father. Brave, too. Obviously brave. Courageous enough to face what comes. Loyal to those you love. You could do well in Gryffindor. That's where my parents were, Harry thought. Where Sirius was. Where I belong. But there's more here. Ambition. Oh yes, considerable ambition. A desire to prove yourself worthy of your legacy. Slytherin would help you achieve greatness. No, you reject greatness? I reject Slytherin. My family fought against everything Slytherin stands for. Put me in Gryffindor. Interesting. You know Slytherin doesn't stand for dark magic, don't you? Just ambition and cunning. Some of the finest witches and wizards. Gryffindor, Harry thought firmly. Very well. But you should know. The hat takes your choice into account. but it also sees what's truly in your heart. And in your heart, Harry Potter, is the courage and loyalty of Gryffindor. The Gryffindor table exploded with cheers. Harry walked over, grinning, and sat down next to Hermione. Ron joined them a few minutes later, looking relieved to be with his brothers in Gryffindor. "We did it," Hermione whispered. "We're Gryffindors. Like your parents." "Like my parents," Harry agreed. Dumbledore stood to give his speech. The usual warnings about the Forbidden Forest, the reminder that magic wasn't permitted in corridors between classes. Then he said something that made Harry sit up straighter. "I should also mention that the third-floor corridor on the right-hand side is out of bounds to everyone who does not wish to die a very painful death." "He's joking, right?" Ron whispered. Harry remembered Sirius's stories about Hogwarts. "I don't think he jokes about student safety. What could be up there that would kill us?" "Something we're definitely going to investigate," Harry said. Hermione looked alarmed. "We are absolutely not going to investigate. Speak for yourself." First class's potions class with Professor Snape was worse than Harry had imagined. And Harry had imagined it being pretty bad. Sirius had warned him. Had told him that Severus Snape hated James Potter with a passion that bordered on obsession, and that Harry looking exactly like James would make him a target. Harry had thought he was prepared. He wasn't. Snape swept into the dungeon classroom like a particularly malevolent bat, black robes billowing behind him. He gave a short speech about the subtle science and exact art of potion making. Then his eyes landed on Harry, and his expression twisted with something like hatred. "Potter," Snape said softly. "Our new celebrity. Tell me, what would I get if I added powdered root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood?" Harry knew this. Sirius had drilled him on basic potions theory for years. "The draught of living death. A powerful sleeping potion." Snape's lip curled. "Lucky guess. Where would you look if I asked you to find me a bezoar?" "The stomach of a goat. It's an antidote to most poisons. What is the difference between monkshood and wolfsbane?" "They're the same plant, also called aconite." The class was silent. Snape stared at Harry with undisguised loathing. 5 points from Gryffindor for your cheek, Potter. Thinking you know everything just because your godfather filled your head with information doesn't make you special. "I wasn't being cheeky," Harry said. "You asked questions. I answered them. Another 5 points for talking back." Harry opened his mouth to argue, caught Hermione's warning look, and shut it again. This was exactly what Sirius had warned about. Snape wanted Harry to fight back, wanted an excuse to punish him. The rest of the class was a nightmare. Snape criticized everything Harry did, his cutting technique, his stirring, his ingredient preparation. When Neville's potion melted his cauldron and boiled over onto the stone floor, Snape somehow blamed Harry for not helping him. 10 points from Gryffindor for Potter's failure to assist a struggling classmate. "I offered to help," Harry protested. "Neville said he wanted to do it himself. That's 20 points now. Would you like to go for 30? Harry forced himself silent. But inside, he was furious. Not just at Snape's unfairness, but at the helplessness of being unable to fight back without making things worse. After class, Ron was indignant. That was completely unfair. "You knew all the answers. He hates me," Harry said flatly. "My dad and Sirius bullied him when they were at school. He's taking it out on me. That's mental. You weren't even born when your dad was here. Doesn't matter. I look like my dad." "That's enough." Hermione caught up with them in the corridor. "Harry, you need to be careful with Professor Snape. He's clearly looking for reasons to give you detention." "I know. I'll be careful." Harry took a breath. "But Hermione, if he keeps pushing, I'm going to push back. I'm not going to just take it. That's exactly what he wants. He wants you to lose your temper so he can punish you more. Then I'll just have to be smarter about it than my dad was." The troll Halloween arrived with decorated pumpkins floating in the great hall, and a feast that made Ron groan with pleasure. Harry was enjoying the treacle tart when Professor Quirrell burst through the doors. "Troll," he screamed. "Troll in the dungeons. Thought you ought to know." Then he fainted. The great hall erupted in screams. Dumbledore sent everyone back to their common rooms with prefects leading the way. Harry was following the other Gryffindors when he realized Hermione wasn't with them. "Where's Hermione?" he asked Ron. "Dunno. Haven't seen her since this afternoon," Harry remembered now. Ron had made a careless comment about Hermione being an insufferable know-it-all. She'd run off crying, and if she was still in the bathroom somewhere, Upset and unaware. She doesn't know about the troll, Harry said. Ron, she doesn't know. Ron went pale. The girls' bathroom on the second floor. That's where Parvati said she went. They looked at each other. Then, without discussion, they ran. The girls' bathroom was on the way to the dungeons, which meant it was on the way toward the troll. They sprinted through corridors, Harry's heart pounding. If something happened to Hermione because Ron had hurt her feelings, they smelled the troll before they saw it. Rotten meat and unwashed socks. Then they heard Hermione scream. Harry burst into the bathroom. The troll was massive, 12 feet tall, gray skin, lumpy head, carrying a huge wooden club. Hermione was pressed against the far wall, frozen with terror. "Hey!" Harry shouted. "Over here, ugly!" The troll turned. Harry grabbed the nearest object, a broken piece of sink, and threw it. The projectile bounced off the troll's head, barely registering, but it had the desired effect. The troll focused on Harry. Harry had trained for combat situations for years. Sirius had drilled defensive tactics into him. How to assess threats, how to use your environment, how to exploit weaknesses. But this was a troll, a creature with hide so thick most spells bounced off it. The troll swung its club. Harry dove sideways, rolling, coming up with his wand drawn. Wingardium Leviosa? Nothing happened. The troll was too heavy to levitate. But the spell caught the club, lifting it out of the troll's grip. The troll stared at its empty hand, confused. "Hermione, move!" Ron shouted. Hermione unfroze and scrambled sideways. The troll, irritated now, grabbed for her. Harry acted on instinct, ran forward, jumped onto the troll's back, and shoved his wand up the creature's nose. The troll roared, shook its head violently. Harry held on desperately, wand still jammed up the creature's nostril. The troll spun, trying to dislodge him. Harry's grip slipped. "Wingardium Leviosa," Hermione's voice, clear and steady. The club lifted into the air and smashed down on the troll's head. The creature swayed, eyes rolling back, and collapsed. Harry jumped clear just in time, landing hard on the bathroom floor. Silence. Then Hermione started laughing, high, slightly hysterical laughter. "You shoved your wand up its nose," she gasped. "Harry, you shoved your wand up a troll's nose. It worked, didn't it? That was the most ridiculous. The most brilliant." She stopped laughing and threw her arms around Harry. "Thank you, both of you. You saved my life. You saved us," Ron pointed out. That was brilliant levitation. Professor McGonagall arrived with Snape and Quirrell. She looked furious. "What on earth were you thinking?" she demanded. "You could have been killed." "It's my fault," Hermione said quickly. "I went looking for the troll because I thought I could handle it. You know, because I'd read all about trolls." Her voice was shaking. "If Harry and Ron hadn't found me, I'd be dead." McGonagall looked at the three of them, then at the unconscious troll. Her expression softened slightly. 5 points will be taken from Gryffindor for this, Miss Granger. Sheer dumb luck protects fools. But not many first years could take on a fully grown mountain troll and live to tell the tale. She looked at Harry and Ron. 5 points will be awarded to each of you. For sheer dumb luck. They left the bathroom together. In the corridor, Hermione grabbed both their arms. "Thank you," she said again. "Really. I was so scared I couldn't think." "That's what friends do," Harry said. "They show up." "Friends?" "Obviously. You're brilliant, Hermione. Bit bossy, but brilliant. So yeah, friends." Hermione beamed. "Friends." Investigating the third floor. The troll incident cemented their friendship, but it also raised questions. Specifically, what was a troll doing in Hogwarts? And why had Professor Snape been limping when he arrived at the bathroom, like something had bitten him? Harry's natural curiosity, inherited from Sirius, demanded investigation. Hermione's natural caution fought against it. Ron just wanted to avoid detention. But when Harry proposed sneaking to the third-floor corridor to see what Dumbledore was protecting, Hermione surprised both boys by agreeing. "If there's something dangerous enough to keep locked up, we should know what it is," she said. "For safety reasons." "That's not why we're going," Ron said. "I know, but it's a better excuse than we're curious." They snuck out after midnight under Harry's invisibility cloak, a family heirloom Sirius had given him before school. The three of them barely fit under it, but they made it to the third floor without being caught. The corridor was dark and empty. At the end was a door. Harry tried it. Locked. Alohomora, Hermione whispered. The lock clicked. The door swung open. They stepped inside and froze. A three-headed dog filled the small room. Each head was the size of a small car. All three were sleeping, soft snores filling the air, and beneath the dog's massive paws was a trapdoor. It's guarding something, Harry breathed. Something under the floor. One of the heads twitched, started to wake. Out, Hermione hissed. Now, they scrambled out, slammed the door, ran back to Gryffindor Tower with their hearts pounding. In the common room, safe and breathless, Harry said, "Whatever's under that trapdoor, it's valuable enough to need a Cerberus guarding it." "A what?" Ron asked. "Three-headed dog. Greek mythology. Cerberus guards the entrance to the underworld." "How do you know that?" "Sirius made me read Muggle and magical mythology. Said you'll never know when obscure knowledge will save your life." Harry grinned. He was right. "So what do we do?" Hermione asked. "We find out what's being protected. And why Snape wants it badly enough to get past that dog." QIDDH tryouts. Harry had been flying since he was old enough to sit on a toy broom. Sirius had started teaching him properly at age 7. By 11, Harry could perform aerial maneuvers that most adult wizards couldn't match. So when he showed up at Gryffindor Quidditch tryouts, he wasn't nervous. He was confident. Maybe too confident. Potter, Oliver Wood, the Gryffindor captain, looked him up and down skeptically. "First year?" "Yes. First years don't make the team." "It's a rule. Unwritten rule," Harry corrected. "Professor McGonagall said I could try out if I wanted to." Wood frowned. "Fine. Show me what you've got." Harry mounted the school broom, inferior to Sirius's racing brooms, but serviceable, and kicked off. He rose 50 feet in seconds, the ground falling away beneath him. The wind caught his hair. The world simplified to speed and air and movement. He dove, pulled up sharply, rolled left, then right, executed a Ronsky feint that made Wood gasp, caught the practice snitch Wood had released in under 2 minutes. "Merlin's beard," Wood breathed when Harry landed. "Where did you learn to fly like that?" "My godfather. He's been teaching me since I was 7. "You're on the team. Seeker position." "I don't care that you're a first year. You're the best flyer I've seen in years." Harry grinned. "When's the first match?" "November. Against Slytherin." "Think you can handle Flint's team?" "I can handle anyone. That's the spirit. Welcome to Gryffindor Quidditch, Potter." The first Quidditch match. The morning of Harry's first match, he received a package at breakfast. Inside was a note from Sirius. "Prongs. You're going to be brilliant. I know because I've seen you fly. Just remember, speed is your advantage, not strength. Use it. Also attached is something that belonged to your father. He'd want you to have it. Love, Padfoot. P.S. Remus says to be careful and study hard. I say cause mayhem and catch that snitch." Wrapped in the package was the most beautiful broomstick Harry had ever seen. Sleek, polished wood. A Nimbus 2000. The fastest racing broom on the market. "Blimey," Ron breathed. "That's a Nimbus 2000. Those cost a fortune." "Serious," Harry said, running his hand along the handle. "He must have ordered it the moment I made the team." At the match, Harry felt invincible. The Nimbus 2000 responded to his slightest touch. He soared above the pitch, searching for the snitch while the game raged below. Slytherin's seeker, Terrence Higgs, was competent but slow. Harry outmaneuvered him easily. Then something went wrong. Harry's broom began to buck and twist violently, trying to throw him off. He clung to the handle, heart pounding. Below, the crowd gasped. Hermione, watching through binoculars, spotted Snape in the stands. His lips were moving. He was muttering something. "He's cursing the broom," Hermione hissed to Ron. "What do we do?" "Distraction." Hermione sprinted down to where Snape sat. Ron followed. In the chaos of the crowd, nobody noticed 2 first-years scrambling along the benches. Hermione reached Snape and, in a moment of desperation, set his robes on fire with a quick spell. Snape yelped, jumped up, broke his concentration. Harry's broom steadied. He saw the snitch, a golden blur near the ground. Without thinking, he dove. Straight down, faster than should have been possible. Higgs followed but couldn't match the speed. Harry's hand closed around the snitch. His momentum carried him forward. He couldn't stop. He hit the ground hard, tumbled and came up spitting grass, with the snitch clutched in his fist. "Harry Potter has caught the snitch," the commentator screamed. "Gryffindor wins." The stands erupted. Harry stood, grinning despite the bruises forming. He'd done it. His first match. His father's sport. Later, in the common room celebrating, Hermione pulled him aside. "Snape was cursing your broom. I'm sure of it. He was muttering a spell, not breaking eye contact with you." Harry remembered Snape's limp after the troll incident. "He's after whatever's under that trapdoor. The dog bit him when he tried to get past it. We need to find out what he's protecting before Snape steals it." "Agreed. But how?" Hermione smiled. "We research. We investigate, and we use that spectacular brain Sirius says you have." "He said I have a spectacular brain?" "He wrote it in a letter to Professor McGonagall. I overheard her reading it to Professor Flitwick. He's very proud of you, Harry." Harry felt warmth spread through his chest. Sirius was proud of him, and together with Ron and Hermione, he was going to figure out this mystery and stop Snape from stealing whatever was hidden beneath Hogwarts. The Nicholas Flamel connection. Christmas at Hogwarts was the first Christmas Harry had ever spent away from Sirius and Remus. Most students went home, but Harry stayed, partly because Ron stayed, partly because he wanted to use the library without interruption to research what was hidden under the third-floor corridor. The research wasn't going well. "There's nothing," Hermione said, frustrated, surrounded by books in the library. "I've checked every reference to Hogwarts security, every mention of valuable magical artifacts, every historical record of items worth guarding with a Cerberus. Nothing fits." "Maybe we're looking in the wrong place," Harry suggested. He was lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling, thinking. Sirius had taught him that sometimes the best way to solve a problem was to stop looking at it directly. Dumbledore wouldn't hide just anything at Hogwarts. It has to be something uniquely valuable, something that couldn't be kept anywhere else. Like what? "I don't know. Something that—" Harry sat up suddenly. "Hermione, what did Hagrid say that day at Gringotts? When we saw him at the bank?" Hermione's eyes widened. "He said he was picking something up for Dumbledore. From a high-security vault. He said it was Hogwarts business." "And when was that?" "July 31st. Your birthday. The day before the Daily Prophet reported a break-in at Gringotts, a vault that had been emptied earlier that same day." They stared at each other. "Whatever Dumbledore is protecting," Harry said slowly. "He moved it from Gringotts to Hogwarts because someone tried to steal it. Someone who's still looking for it. Snape? Maybe. Or maybe Snape is working for someone else." Ron arrived at that moment with a package, present from home. Mum sent Christmas jumpers. He tossed one to Harry, scarlet with a golden lion on it. "She made you one too. Says anyone friends with me is part of the family." Harry looked at the jumper, feeling an unexpected swell of emotion. Mrs. Weasley had made him a Christmas jumper, had included him in her family without hesitation. "That's," his voice cracked, "that's really kind of her." "Yeah, well, she's like that." Ron pulled on his own jumper. "Maroon, as always." "What are you two researching?" "The thing under the trapdoor," Hermione said. "We think Dumbledore moved it from Gringotts. Could ask Hagrid. He was the one who picked it up." Harry considered this. Hagrid loved talking, especially after a few drinks. And he was soft on students who showed interest in his work. "That's actually a good idea. Let's visit him after Christmas dinner." Hagrid's hut smelled of wood smoke and something cooking that was probably inedible. The half-giant welcomed them warmly, already slightly drunk on what he claimed was just eggnog, but smelled considerably stronger. "Harry, Ron, Hermione, come in, come in. Merry Christmas." They settled around Hagrid's table. Harry waited until Hagrid had poured himself another cup of eggnog, before casually saying, "Hagrid, you know that thing you picked up from Gringotts for Dumbledore? The one from the high-security vault?" Hagrid froze. "How do you know about that?" "We were there the same day. We saw you. Must have been important if Dumbledore trusted you with it." "Oh, well." Hagrid puffed up slightly at the implied compliment. "Can't talk about it. Top secret, that is. Between me and Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel." He stopped, looked horrified. "I shouldn't have said that." "Nicholas Flamel." Hermione's eyes lit up. "The alchemist. I didn't say nothin'. Forget I mentioned it." But Harry had already made the connection. The Philosopher's Stone. "That's what you're guarding." Flamel's stone. Hagrid went pale. "How do you know about the stone?" "Lucky guess," Harry lied. But it makes sense. The stone grants immortality. Someone would definitely want to steal that. Someone like Voldemort. Hagrid flinched at the name. Don't say that name. Is that who Snape is working for? Is Voldemort trying to come back? Snape's not. Hagrid stopped himself. Professor Snape is a Hogwarts teacher. He's not after the stone. Now, you three better forget everything I just said. Dumbledore would kill me if he knew I'd told ya. We won't tell anyone, Hermione promised. Right, Harry? Right, Harry agreed, but his mind was racing. The Philosopher's Stone. Immortality. If Voldemort got hold of that, he could return to power. And Snape, or whoever was really after the stone, had already gotten past one of the protections. The dog had bitten them. They had to stop it from being stolen. The Christmas present. That night, Harry found another package waiting in his dormitory. No note this time. Just an odd, silvery fabric that slithered through his fingers like water. Ron gasped, "Is that?" Harry threw it over his shoulders. His body vanished completely. Only his head remained visible, floating in midair. An invisibility cloak, Harry breathed. Ron, this is an invisibility cloak. Those are rare. Really rare. Who sent it? Harry found a note tucked in the folds. Your father left this in my possession before he died. It is time it was returned to you. Use it well. No signature. But Harry knew the handwriting. He'd seen it on his Hogwarts letter. Dumbledore had sent this. My dad's invisibility cloak, Harry said quietly. James Potter had used this cloak for marauder mischief, had snuck around Hogwarts causing trouble with Sirius, Remus, and Peter. And now Harry had it. He put it on properly, looked down. His entire body had vanished. He walked to the mirror. Nothing reflected back except the empty dormitory behind him. This is dangerous, Ron said, grinning. In the best possible way. Absolutely. We can investigate anywhere now. Go anywhere. See anything? Harry, Hermione's voice came from the doorway. She'd come up to tell them something, and now stood staring at Harry's floating head. Please tell me, you're not planning to do something stupid with that cloak. Of course not. I'm planning to do something brilliant. That's what I was afraid of. The Mirror of Erised Harry used the invisibility cloak that very night. He wanted to explore Hogwarts properly, see the parts of the castle students weren't supposed to access. Sirius had told him stories about the secret passages, the hidden rooms, the places where marauders had caused their best chaos. He wandered through corridors, invisible and free, past Filch without being detected, avoided Mrs. Norris entirely, found a restricted section of the library, and made mental notes about books to read later. Then he found the room. It was on the 3rd floor, but not in the restricted corridor. Just an empty classroom with a magnificent mirror standing in the center. The frame was gold, ornate, with an inscription carved at the top, Erised stre'eru oit ube kafru oit, on Woshi. Harry approached the mirror, looked into it, and stopped breathing. The reflection showed Harry, but not alone. Standing behind him were two people he recognized from photos. James Potter, tall and messy-haired, wearing glasses exactly like Harry's. Lily Potter, red-haired and green-eyed, her hand on Harry's shoulder. But they weren't ghosts in the reflection. They were solid, real, smiling at him. And standing beside them were Sirius and Remus, both looking younger and happier than Harry had ever seen them. All 4 marauders together, James, Sirius, Remus, and even Peter. But Peter looked different somehow. Trustworthy. The whole family together, united. Perfect. Harry's eyes burned. He reached toward the mirror, but his hand met only cold glass. His parents weren't really there. This was just a reflection of something that would never exist. He stayed there for hours watching his parents, memorizing the way his mother smiled, the way his father's hand rested on Sirius's shoulder, the way they all looked like they belonged together. When he finally returned to the dormitory, his face was wet with tears. Dumbledore's lesson, Harry returned to the mirror the next night. And the night after that, on the 3rd night, he found someone already there. Back again, Harry? Dumbledore sat on a desk near the mirror, eating what appeared to be sherbet lemons. He didn't seem surprised to see Harry. How did you know I'd be here? I didn't. But I suspected you'd found the Mirror of Erised. It has a way of attracting those who need it most. Dumbledore stood and approached the mirror. Tell me, what do you see when you look into it? Harry hesitated. Then, my family. All of them together. My parents, Sirius, Remus, everyone alive and happy. Ah, Dumbledore's expression was sad. And you understand what this mirror shows? The inscription. I show not your face, but your heart's desire. It shows what we want most. Precisely. The mirror of Eriside shows us nothing more or less than the deepest, most desperate desire of our hearts. Dumbledore looked at his own reflection. A wonderful thing and a terrible one. Men have wasted away before it, entranced by what they see. What do you see? I see myself holding a pair of thick woolen socks. Dumbledore's eyes twinkled. One can never have enough socks. Another Christmas has come and gone, and I didn't get a single pair. People will insist on giving me books. Harry knew this was a lie, or at least not the whole truth, but he didn't push. The mirror will be moved tomorrow, Dumbledore said. I ask you not to go looking for it again. It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live, Harry. You have a family who loves you. Sirius, Remus, the friends you've made here. Don't lose them by grieving for what you never had. But I could have had it. If Peter hadn't betrayed them, yes, but he did. And no amount of staring into mirrors will change that. Dumbledore's voice was gentle, but firm. Your parents died protecting you. They gave you life twice, once at birth and once through sacrifice. Honor that gift by living, Harry. Not by mourning. Harry nodded, throat tight. I understand. Do you? Because I suspect you're very like your father. And James Potter often understood things intellectually, while refusing to accept them emotionally. Sirius says the same thing about me. Sirius would know. Now, off to bed. And Harry, Dumbledore paused at the door. You are loved. Remember that. The family you have is real. The family in the mirror is fantasy. Choose the real one. Norbert the dragon. The tension around the Philosopher's Stone investigation was temporarily interrupted by Hagrid's new pet. He won it in a card game, Hagrid said proudly, showing them the black egg in his fireplace. Norwegian Ridgeback. Rare they are. Beautiful creatures. Hagrid, Hermione said carefully. You live in a wooden house. Dragons breathe fire. Do you see the problem? Norbert's just a baby. You named it? Him. Norbert's a him. And he's perfectly harmless. The dragon hatched a week later. It was not harmless. It was small, scaly, and very bitey. Harry watched it sneeze sparks and singe Hagrid's beard. This is going to be a disaster, Ron predicted. He was right. Within days, Norbert had grown to the size of a large dog. He ate rats whole, set the curtains on fire twice, and bit Ron's hand badly enough to require the hospital wing. We need to get rid of him, Harry said, before someone finds out and Hagrid gets expelled. Get rid of him how? Ron asked, nursing his bandaged hand. You can't just release a dragon. They're dangerous. Charlie, Harry said suddenly. Your brother Charlie. He works with dragons in Romania, right? Yeah, but... Write to him. Ask if he can take Norbert. Say it's a rescue case. Charlie Weasley agreed immediately. He arranged for friends to pick up Norbert from the astronomy tower at midnight on Saturday. All they had to do was get Norbert up there without being caught. The plan almost worked. They used the invisibility cloak to sneak Norbert, crated and sleeping, up to the tower. Charlie's friends took the dragon without issue, but on the way back down, Harry dropped the cloak. And Draco Malfoy found it. Well, well, Malfoy said, holding up the silvery fabric. Potter out of bed, and with an invisibility cloak. My father will be very interested to hear about this. Give it back, Malfoy. Or what? You'll hex me? We're not allowed to use magic in corridors. Malfoy smirked. I'm taking this to Professor Snape. You're going to be expelled. Harry's temper snapped. You really want to do this? Try and stop me. Harry pulled his wand. Tarantalegra. Malfoy's legs began dancing uncontrollably. He yelped, losing his grip on the cloak. Harry grabbed it back. That's illegal, Malfoy gasped, still dancing. You used magic on another student. Prove it. Harry canceled the spell. You going to tell Snape I hexed you? Admit you were out of bed too? That you tried to steal my property? Malfoy's face twisted with rage. This isn't over, Potter. It never is with you. But as Harry walked away, he felt uneasy. Malfoy wasn't going to let this go. And now Harry had given him ammunition, evidence that Harry was willing to break rules, use magic against other students, fight back. Sirius would be proud. Remus would be disappointed. Harry wasn't sure which reaction he preferred. SNAP's threat. After the Norbert incident, Snape's treatment of Harry got worse. He assigned extra essays on the flimsiest pretexts. He gave detention for breathing too loudly. He deducted house points whenever Harry entered his classroom. One day after potions, Snape called Harry back. "Potter, stay behind." Harry waited while the other students filed out. Hermione gave him a worried look. Ron mouthed, "Good luck." Then they were alone, Harry and the professor who hated him. "Your father," Snape said softly, "was an arrogant bully who tormented anyone he considered beneath him. He hexed students for entertainment. He humiliated people publicly. And everyone loved him for it because he was charming and wealthy and good at Quidditch." Harry said nothing. This was exactly what Sirius had warned him about. "You are exactly like him. The same arrogance, the same assumption that rules don't apply to you, the same willingness to break them when they're inconvenient." Snape leaned forward. "But unlike your father, you don't have his natural talent to justify your ego. You're mediocre, Potter. Utterly ordinary. And the sooner you accept that, the less painful your time here will be." Harry felt something cold settle in his chest. Not anger, he'd expected anger, but instead, calculation. Snape wanted him to react, wanted him to lose his temper, talk back, give him an excuse for real punishment. Harry wouldn't give him that satisfaction. "Is that all, Professor?" Harry asked calmly. Snape's eyes narrowed. "You think you're clever. You think staying silent makes you mature. But I see through you, Potter. You're a copy of your father, arrogant, entitled, destined to hurt people because you believe your name makes you special." "My name doesn't make me special," Harry said quietly. "My parents' sacrifice does. And if you can't see the difference, that says more about you than me." Snape went very still. For a moment, Harry thought he'd gone too far. Then Snape spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "Get out of my classroom." Harry left. But as he walked away, he realized something. Snape wasn't just taking out his hatred of James on Harry. He was taking out his guilt over Lily. Snape had loved her. Sirius had mentioned it once dismissively, saying Snape's obsession with Lily had been pathetic and unrequited. And Harry had Lily's eyes. Every time Snape looked at Harry, he saw the woman he'd loved and the man he'd hated, combined in one person. No wonder he couldn't stand him. The Forbidden Forest. Harry's ongoing war with Snape culminated in detention in the Forbidden Forest. He, Hermione, Ron, and Neville had all been caught out of bed. Malfoy had tipped off Filch, though Malfoy had gotten detention too for being out himself. "The Forbidden Forest," Filch said gleefully, "where something's been killing unicorns. You'll be helping Hagrid investigate. And maybe whatever's doing the killing will get you instead." The forest at night was terrifying. Ancient trees blocked out moonlight. Strange sounds echoed through the darkness. Hagrid led them with his crossbow, his dog Fang whimpering beside him. "Something's been killing unicorns," Hagrid explained. "Found 2 dead this month. Terrible it is. Unicorn blood'll keep you alive even if you're an inch from death, but at a terrible price. It's a monstrous thing to kill something so pure." They split up to search. Harry went with Hermione, following a trail of silver blood deeper into the forest. They found the unicorn in a clearing, white and beautiful and very dead. Its blood pooled silver on the ground, and standing over it, drinking its blood, was something that barely looked human. A hooded figure bent over the unicorn's body, lapping up the silver blood like an animal. It raised its head, looked directly at Harry, and Harry's scar exploded with pain. He fell to his knees, screaming. The figure glided toward him. Hermione shouted something. A spell, maybe, but the figure kept coming. Harry's scar burned like his forehead was splitting open. He couldn't see, couldn't think. Just pain. Hoofbeats. A centaur burst into the clearing. Blonde hair, blue eyes, powerful horse body. The figure fled. The pain in Harry's scar receded to a dull throb. "Harry Potter," the centaur said, "you must leave the forest. It is not safe for you here." "What was that thing?" Harry gasped. "A creature that should not exist. One who drinks unicorn blood to sustain himself while he searches for something that will make him whole again." The centaur's expression was grave. "Voldemort, Harry Potter. Voldemort is not gone. He is weakened but alive, seeking a way to return." "The Philosopher's Stone," Hermione breathed. "He's after the stone. Perhaps, but that is not your burden to bear. You are young. Let the adults handle this. But Harry knew with absolute certainty that the adults wouldn't handle it in time. Voldemort, or whatever remained of him, was at Hogwarts. Probably possessing someone, probably close to the stone. They had to stop him. Now, the plan. Back in Gryffindor Tower, Harry called an emergency meeting with Ron and Hermione. Snape's going to steal the stone tonight. I'm sure of it. How are you sure? Hermione asked. Because I saw Voldemort in the forest. He's desperate, weak, running out of time. He needs that stone now. And Snape is either working for him or possessed by him. Either way, the stone is in danger. So we tell Dumbledore, Ron said. Dumbledore's not here. McGonagall said he got an urgent message from the ministry and left this morning. He won't be back until tomorrow. Then we tell McGonagall. And say what? That we know about the stone? That we've been investigating? That we think a professor is going to steal it based on no evidence except my scar hurting? Harry shook his head. She won't believe us. Adults never believe kids about things like this. Sirius had told him that. Had explained how adults dismissed children's concerns, how authority figures assumed kids were overreacting or imagining things. Harry had never fully understood until now. We have to go after it ourselves, Harry said. Tonight, before Snape gets there. That's insane, Hermione said. But she didn't say no. Probably, but it's what my dad would do, what Sirius would do. And I'm not letting Voldemort come back, because I was too scared to act. Ron swallowed hard. All right, I'm in. Me too, Hermione said. But Harry, we need a plan. We can't just run in there. The defenses. We know there are multiple protections on the stone. Hagrid's three-headed dog, probably other challenges from the teachers. We'll need to get past all of them. The dog falls asleep to music, Hermione said. Hagrid mentioned it once. We'll need an instrument. There's a flute in the music room. I can borrow it. And after the dog, we improvise. Use what we know. Work together. Harry looked at his friends. We can do this. We have to do this. They spent the rest of the evening preparing. Harry retrieved the flute. Hermione revised every spell she knew. Ron practiced his chess strategies. He had a feeling they'd need them. At midnight, they met in the common room under the invisibility cloak. Harry carried the flute. Hermione had her wand ready. Ron looked terrified but determined. Last chance to back out, Harry said. Not a chance, Ron said. Let's go save the world, Hermione added. They headed for the third-floor corridor, 3 first years against whatever waited below. The challenge, the three-headed dog, Fluffy, was enormous and terrifying. All 3 heads snapped toward them when they opened the door. Harry pulled out the flute and started playing a simple tune Sirius had taught him years ago. Fluffy's eyes drooped. His head swayed. Within moments, all 3 were snoring. Quick, Harry whispered. The trap door. They pulled it open and jumped through, landing on something soft. Devil's snare. A plant that strangled its victims. Hermione recognized it immediately. Stop struggling, it hates light and fire. Lumos solem. The plant recoiled. They dropped through to the next chamber. Flying keys. Hundreds of them zooming through the air like angry birds. 1 silver key with a bent wing. That was the one they needed. Harry mounted a broomstick someone had conveniently left there and caught the key in under a minute. His Quidditch training paid off. The next room held a giant chessboard. Ron's eyes lit up. This is my game. Harry, you're a bishop. Hermione, you're a castle. I'll be a knight. Ron, this is dangerous. I know. Trust me. The chess match was brutal. Ron played brilliantly, sacrificing pieces strategically, moving them across the board like a general commanding troops. But when the opposing queen cornered him, Ron made a choice. I have to let myself be taken. It's the only way Harry can checkmate the king. Ron, no. Do it, Harry. When I'm gone, move 3 spaces to the left. That's checkmate. The queen moved, struck Ron hard. He fell, unconscious. Harry, fighting panic, made the move. Checkmate. The opposing king threw down its sword. They'd won. Hermione stayed with Ron while Harry moved forward alone. Through the next door, down a corridor, into the final chamber. And there, standing before the mirror of Erised, was Professor Quirrell. The final confrontation, Potter, Quirrell said. His stutter was gone. I wondered when you'd arrive. You, Harry breathed. Not Snape. You? Snape? Quirrell laughed. Snape was trying to protect you. He suspected me from the beginning, the interfering fool. Nearly caught me in the forest when I was drinking the unicorn's blood. Had to escape before he could identify me. The troll. You let it in. A distraction. I needed to check the third-floor corridor, see what additional protections Dumbledore had added. But then you and your friends killed it. Impressive for first years. Harry's hand moved toward his wand. Quirrell drew his own faster. I wouldn't. This isn't a duel you can win, Potter. I've been at this much longer than you. What do you want? The stone, obviously. The Master needs it to return to power, to give me the rewards he promised. Quirrell turned back to the mirror. But this mirror, I see myself presenting the stone to my master, but I don't understand how to get it out. Let me try, a cold, high voice said. Quirrell unwrapped his turban. Where the back of his head should be was a face, snake-like with red eyes and slits for nostrils. Voldemort. Harry Potter, the face hissed. The boy who lived. How fitting that you'll die helping me return. Harry couldn't move. Couldn't think. That face, that horrible, inhuman face, was Voldemort. The thing that had killed his parents. The monster from his nightmares. Come here, boy. Look in the mirror. Tell me what you see. Harry approached because refusing seemed pointless. Looked into the mirror of Erised. His reflection smiled at him. Reached into its pocket. Pulled out a blood-red stone. Winked. Put the stone back. Harry felt sudden weight in his real pocket. The stone. He had the stone. Well? Voldemort demanded. I see myself winning the House Cup, Harry lied. Gryffindor's ahead of Slytherin. He lies, Voldemort hissed. Seize him, bring him to me. Quirrell lunged, grabbed Harry's arm, and screamed. His hand was burning where it touched Harry's skin, blistering, smoking. He let go, staring at his ruined hand in horror. What is this magic? Voldemort shrieked. Harry understood suddenly. The protection his mother had given him, Lily's love, physical in his blood. Quirrell couldn't touch him without being burned by it. Your mother's sacrifice, Voldemort spat. Love, always love. That pathetic weakness that you humans cling to, it's not weakness, Harry said, his hand closed around the stone in his pocket. My mum died for me. Sirius chose me. Remus stayed. My friends came with me tonight knowing they might die. That's not weakness. That's strength you'll never understand. Fool, love cannot stop me. I will return. And when I do? Not today. Harry pulled the stone from his pocket and threw it. Not at Quirrell, but at the mirror. The stone hit the mirror's surface. Instead of shattering, it simply vanished. The mirror absorbed it. No, Voldemort screamed. The mirror was the protection, Harry realized. Only someone who wanted to find the stone but not use it could retrieve it. I got it because I wanted to stop you, not because I wanted immortality. And now it's gone. Quirrell lunged at Harry again, mad with desperation. Harry grabbed his face with both hands. Quirrell shrieked as his skin burned. Voldemort's spirit abandoned Quirrell's body, a dark smoke that streamed past Harry and disappeared. Quirrell collapsed, dead or dying. Harry stumbled backward, dropped the stone, and fainted. The hospital wing. Harry woke 3 days later in the hospital wing. Sirius was sitting beside his bed, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Harry. Oh, thank God. Harry, you're awake. Sirius? Harry's voice cracked. What are you doing here? Dumbledore sent word that you'd been injured stopping a professor from stealing the Philosopher's Stone. What did you think I'd do? Stay home. Sirius grabbed Harry's hand. You nearly died. Madame Pomfrey said you'd pushed yourself to magical exhaustion. Harry, what were you thinking? I was thinking Voldemort was about to come back and nobody else was stopping him. That's not your job. You're 11 years old. I'm the only one who could get the stone, the mirror. It was protected so only someone who wanted to find it but not use it could retrieve it. I was the only person there who fit that criteria. Sirius closed his eyes. You're exactly like your father. James would have done the exact same thing, and it would have terrified me just as much. Are you angry? I'm furious. I'm proud. I'm terrified. Sirius laughed, shakily. I'm a mess, Harry. You scared me. Sorry. No, you're not, Harry admitted. Sirius, I saw him. Voldemort. He was possessing Quirrell. He's not gone. I know. Dumbledore explained everything. Sirius's expression darkened. He'll come back someday. We always knew he would. But Harry, next time, you tell an adult. You don't face him alone. I wasn't alone. Ron and Hermione came with me. That doesn't make it better. It does to me, Sirius sighed. You're going to give me gray hair before I'm 30. You already have gray hair. That's from raising you? Despite everything, Harry smiled. Is Ron okay? He got knocked out by the chess queen. He's fine. Broken ribs, but Madame Pomfrey fixed them. He woke up yesterday and immediately asked about you. Hermione's been here every day. They've both been worried sick. As if summoned, the hospital wing doors burst open. Hermione and Ron rushed in. Harry, you're awake, Hermione threw her arms around him. You've been unconscious for 3 days. We were so worried. Careful, Sirius warned. He's still recovering. I'm fine, Harry insisted. What happened after I fainted? Dumbledore arrived, Ron said. Found you unconscious with Quirrell's body. Said you'd done something incredibly brave and incredibly stupid. That sounds like Dumbledore. The stone's been destroyed, Hermione added. Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel decided it was too dangerous to exist. Flamel has enough elixir stored to get his affairs in order. Then he and his wife will die. Harry asked. Dumbledore said it's like going to bed after a very long day, Hermione quoted. For someone who's lived over 600 years, death is just the next great adventure. Harry thought about that, about his parents, who died at 21, about Sirius, who'd raised him for 10 years, about the life he'd been given twice. I think I understand that, he said quietly. The end-of-year feast, the house cup ceremony was subdued. Everyone knew Harry, Ron, and Hermione had done something significant, though the details remained unclear. Slytherin was ahead by miles, mostly because Snape had awarded them points for breathing while deducting points from Gryffindor for existing. Dumbledore stood to make his speech. Another year has passed, and while I could simply award the House Cup to Slytherin based on current points, he paused as the Slytherin table cheered. I believe some last-minute additions are in order. The hall went silent. To Miss Hermione Granger, for cool logic in the face of fire, 50 points. The Gryffindor table erupted. Hermione went bright red. To Mr. Ronald Weasley for the best-played game of chess Hogwarts has seen in many years, 50 points. Ron looked like he might faint from shock. To Mr. Harry Potter, for pure nerve and outstanding courage, 60 points. The hall went wild, but Dumbledore held up his hand. And finally, because it takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends when necessary, 10 points to Neville Longbottom. Neville nearly fell off his chair. The Gryffindor table exploded with cheers loud enough to shake the enchanted ceiling. Which means, Dumbledore said with a smile, that Gryffindor has won the House Cup. The hall erupted. Red and gold banners replaced the Slytherin green. Harry grinned at Ron and Hermione. They'd done it. Their first year at Hogwarts, and they'd stopped Voldemort, made best friends, and won the House Cup. Not bad, Ron said, for a bunch of first years. Not bad at all, Harry agreed. King's Cross Platform 9 3/4 was chaos. Parents collecting children, owls hooting, trunks being loaded onto trolleys. Harry stood with Ron and Hermione saying goodbye until September. Write to me, Hermione demanded. Both of you, I mean it. We will, Harry promised. And Harry, try not to fight any more dark wizards over the summer. I'll do my best. Ron's family surrounded him. All red hair and noise and love. Mrs. Weasley hugged Harry before he could escape. You take care, dear. And you're welcome at the Burrow anytime. Any friend of Ron's is family. Thank you, Mrs. Weasley. Then Sirius appeared, pushing through the crowd. He looked better than he had in the hospital wing. Had clearly slept and eaten actual food. Remus was right behind him. There's our hero, Sirius said, pulling Harry into a hug. Ready to come home? So ready. No offense to Hogwarts, but I'm exhausted. I'm not surprised. Fighting Dark Lords is tiring. Sirius ruffled his hair. Come on. Let's go home. They walked toward the barrier. Harry looked back once at the Hogwarts Express, red and gleaming in the station. His first year was over. He'd made friends, learned magic, faced Voldemort, and survived. and he couldn't wait to come back. Serious? Harry said as they approached the barrier. Yeah, thanks. For raising me. For teaching me everything. For being my dad. Sirius stopped walking, looked at Harry with suspiciously bright eyes. Harry, you don't have to. I know. But I wanted to say it anyway. You chose me when you didn't have to, when it would have been easier to walk away. You chose me and you loved me and you made me who I am. So thank you. Sirius pulled him into another hug. You're my son. That's all you'll ever be. I love you, kid. I love you too. Remus joined the hug, smiling. Come on, you two. Let's go home. I made dinner, and if we don't get there soon, Creature will have sabotaged it. They walked through the barrier together, Harry Potter and his family. Not the family he was born to, but the family he'd been given, the family that had chosen him and stayed. And as they left King's Cross Station, Harry felt something settle in his chest. Something like peace. He'd faced darkness and survived. He'd made friends who'd risk everything for him. He had a family who loved him. Voldemort would return someday. The prophecy remained unfulfilled. More danger waited in the years ahead. But today, Harry was just a boy going home with his godfather. And that was enough.